Hello, family, and welcome to another episode of Role Model Experts Cafe. I am your host, Dr. L, the Parent Whisperer, and today with me, I have an amazing lady. Her name is Miss Denise Belisle. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, absolutely, Belisle.
Belisle. All right, perfect. Thank you. Now, I've had an opportunity to speak to Denise, and I really enjoyed our conversation. I wanted to bring her forward so you could hear her story, understand why she does what she does, and then we go from there. So, Denise, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule for being here today with us. Tell our family members a little bit about what you do, your personal story, and why that is important to you, and then we can go from there.
Thank you so much, Dr. L. Yes, well, I'll make it short because we could talk for hours.
Sure.
But initially, I started my life working with computers. I did computer programming, I did computer animation. It was all about computer, like being in front of a computer and not much interaction with the people around me. And after a while, I got bored because of course I'm a person. I love interacting with the people around me, and I always been interested in knowing more about health and wellness and how to become better human being. And I didn't never want to grow old, so I wanted to live forever, so I was researching, different things like that.
Right.
And then eventually I started to do some coaching because I realized that I wanted to be helping humanity. I wanted to help people. And then I found this coaching program that I took, and then it just went on from there. So within the last 10 years, I've been working with coaching, and which I really appreciate all the computer work I done in the past, because then too often you will find people that are in the health industry and they don't know a thing about computer. And now with the technology we're all involved in, it gives me so much more confidence into dealing with, knowing how to do a Zoom call or knowing how to create a database or anything like that. So, but helping people and wanting to bring people to understanding more about themselves and helping them grow and reduce stress. And that's why I call myself a serenity expert, because that's what I do. I empower people to become more serene and peaceful in their life, in all area of their life, because stress come from all area.
Right. Denise, you mentioned something about technology, and I just realized, I'm an introvert. So, as an introvert, it's really difficult for me to start a conversation, go up to people. Of course, it's a lot easier when you speak on a stage with a large audience
Hmm.
or people that you already know and trust and you go in front of. But I know for a fact that when introverts have the smallest stumbling block, they will use that as an excuse not to approach another individual. So tech is definitely a big one that can really isolate and alienate
Hmm.
introverts from being able to get out there and share their message.
Yeah.
So very cool. All right. So speaking of serenity, I mean, that doesn't seem to be something that jives with technology. So tell us a little bit more about. You said serenity expert. So tell us a little bit more about why you're passionate about this field.
Well, the main reason, like as I was saying, I took some coaching courses, and one of them was I was exploring because I was always entering about health and wellness, and and then I stumbled upon a functional medicine coaching course. And in that course, you learn all about the system, the endocrine system, the digestive system, the immune system, the hormonal system.
Right.
And for me, it didn't really catch me. It was all too much little details about all the little intricacy of how the human body works. What was really exciting me was the brain. So how does the brain work? And then I realized as I was doing my course, and I did graduate and I did the whole course, but the main reason why all these systems were in balance was because of stress, was because of a stressor coming to the body. And we all know that. I think we all experience having a big stress, and all of a sudden our stomach is growling and we have to go to the bathroom. for no reason,
Right.
everything become jello and it has to come out, and that's stress. Like, how does that happen? So
Mhm.
if we can learn, and what trigger me is we live in a society now that stress is normal. I call that sustained stress. We don't have the fight and flight, system anymore, that we have. That, of course, if you're scared, if for a woman, if she's walking in the street, somebody follows her and she'll be like, she'll be scared. But after, as soon as she get into her car and drive away, that goes away. But then when you stack up all the stress from be driving in the road, or the fight with your husband, or the bill that hasn't get paid, or the conflict you have with your employee or employers, or
Mhm.
everything adds up. And so that stress create an imbalance on our body
Right.
that kills our immune system, that create all these diseases. So that's why I've decided to concentrate everything I do towards reducing the stress in
Right.
any area of your life as much as you can, so that you can live a more fulfilled life and
Right.
have a life of health, and being able to sustain your health just by being serene and not being affected by whatever's around you.
Right. Now, Denise, of course, a lot of our audience members are parents
Mm.
and parent entrepreneurs, and naturally they're listening to this and they're saying, I can't imagine my world and my family life without stress. So,
That's
how do you
true.
avoid stress? How do you reduce stress? So, can you elaborate a little bit about the typical challenges that people really face on a day-to-day basis when it comes to stress? Is it that we can just avoid stress, or is it that we have to process it differently? What is the typical stuff that people come to you and they say that is their challenge when dealing with
Hmm.
stress?
Yeah, what happened is that stress, and that goes with mental fitness also, and positive intelligence, which I've been working with too. And it's how you see the events that are in front of you. So when you have a situation, and I often give that example, two people can be standing side by side on the corner of the street, and then something horrific happen in front of them. We can take 9/11 as an example, right? Many people were there in New York and experiencing live what happened. And I'm sure many people went home and are still experiencing trauma from that
Right.
day.
Right.
And other people went home. Of course, they were stressed for a little bit, but then today they live a normal, happy life. So, what
Right.
makes that? These two people were there together experiencing a traumatic event.
Mhm.
But that's the way you process the information. It's the filter. I call that like having a filter in front of their eyes, which is really the way the brain works,
Right.
that creates that different way of reacting to situation.
Okay.
So as in your relationship as parents, as partner with your between parents or with your kids or the family, like you have those filters. And as long as you're not aware that you have those filters, you think it's the reality.
Right.
So how do you get out of that? Well, that's by working with me. We work together to, first of all, becoming aware of those filters, becoming aware that whatever you see, it's not necessarily what is, and it's just the programming that you've had from all your life experience. Somebody told you something one day and that stick to you. I call that like post-it, right?
Right.
We keep putting post-it on ourselves, and every time we look in the mirror, we read those post-it and they become our identity.
Right.
So what I help people is to unpeel those post-it and to become aware of the voices you hear in your mind, which I call the saboteurs. And these saboteurs are there to drag you down and to keep you locked up in the past and
Mhm.
stop you or make it really difficult to move forward. So
Right.
we work together just to become aware of these saboteurs, those filters, that those post-it that are on you. And then by peeling off those post-it, then you can move forward, be in the same situation. Let's say you have teenager kids that are giving you a hard time, but
Right.
then once you realize that the way you react, it's not necessarily how you would really want to react. It's the way maybe your parent reacted, or maybe you were in a situation where somebody reacted that way towards you. But now, when you become aware of that, you can switch, you can make
Okay.
changes.
Got it. So you actually pointed to two important things. For instance, let's go back to the 9/11 thing again. There's two parts to it. One is that many people actually experience an event and they walk away with what we typically call post-traumatic stress
Mhm.
syndrome, PTSD, right?
Yeah.
And they don't know about it, that they actually are a victim of traumatization without
Hmm.
really knowing that this is going to impact their life. The other part is that when you get exposed to such events, and any kind, some of them could be small, some of them could be big, depending on your processing, it determines whether you actually walk away with PTSD or
Yeah.
not, and how you process it ultimately determines how the rest of your life is shaped, which is very
Absolutely.
significant as well.
I agree with you.
So in doing so, what are some of the tips and challenges and tips and tricks that you usually start the clients with that our audience members might be able to kind of pick up those pointers and see if they can utilize it in their life after watching this?
Hmm. Well, the first step is awareness. In any situation, when you want to change something, you have to be open to be aware of what's going on in your life.
Right.
And when I talked earlier about the saboteurs, and these saboteurs, like I have an assessment, and I can give the information later on how to do that assessment, but it gives you who are your top saboteurs.
Right.
You can have a saboteur that's a pleaser, or a saboteur that's a controller, a victim. If one of your strong saboteurs is a victim, so every time you get into a conflict, you close yourself up and you're like, poor little me, everybody, the world's against me,
Mhm.
and you could never get happiness out of your life. If you're a controller, you're always disappointed about everything that's going on around you. But once you pinpoint who are your saboteurs, your top saboteurs, and the majority of people that are doing these tests, they say, oh my goodness, yes, these are my saboteurs. Yes, absolutely. I recognize them.
Got
And
it.
now you're more equipped to, the second step is to, now that you're aware of it, is to pay attention to when they come out. And then further out as we work together is to say, okay, now I is to forecast them coming to you. You
Mhm.
recognize situation where you used to be triggered and you don't
Right.
want to be triggered anymore, and now you're moving forward and say, okay, this situation is right there in front of me. Usually I get triggered, but I've learned not to be triggered. So quiet down, saboteurs, go sleep, go away. I want to move in a different direction. And then you can change your neurological pathways to choose a different outcome to the situation that usually triggers you, but now they won't. And it's practice, like going to the gym. Mental fitness is just as, you just have to work as hard as mental fitness as you work as body fitness if you want to gain some strength, or eliminate weight or anything like that. You have to put the effort, you have to do it regularly and reconnect those neurological pathways for where you want to go as opposed to where you used to go by default.
Got it. So, what are the different categories of saboteurs, if you will, or is there a certain number? How many are there?
Yeah, there's nine saboteurs, so
Nine. Sir.
they are like the avoider. So
Okay.
you will not have conflict with anyone. You might say yes to something just to avoid having a conflict. You have the stickler. Everything has its place. Everything has to be the way, you like it to be, and you get upset if things get out of the way. There's one
Right.
that's a restless. So if you always have to be on the go and you always have to have something going, if you're out of a project and you feel like, yeah, but I feel like I'm not doing anything. So that's the restless, right? There's the
Mm,
pleaser. I'm a pleaser. And be a lot of coach are pleaser because they want to help others, they want to support others. But the
right.
bad thing about the pleaser is when you do it, but in the end you get resentment. You say, oh, I told someone I was going to help them move, but really I don't want to do it. But then you do it, right? Because you always say yes. They're
Oh,
yes men, right? They
got it.
always say yes. Again,
Got
I
it.
talk about the victim. Right, the victim is someone that, oh, poor little me. It's always, somebody else's fault, and they feel
Right.
bad about themselves. There's the hyper vigilant, and that's the person that's always worried, always looking over their shoulders, and wanted to be super certain that when they plan for something, like say a vacation or something like that, or a trip, that everything is triple checked, that the door's locked, that these are the hyper vigilant. There's the hyper rational, always rationalizing about everything. Everything has to have a reason. Everything has to go the way they want. And the hyperachiever, for example, in couples, being an hyperachiever in a relationship could be that, well, they're going out with a girlfriend, for example, a guy, and they say, well, I'll have to ask her to marry her, and then we'll buy a house, and then we'll have a white picket fence, and we have to have children, and that's the achiever, right? That's what a family is about,
Right.
right? We have to
Right.
have a dog and a cat, and in relationship, that could be an hyperachiever, but in the
Mhm.
business world, like always the next trophy, the next degree, the next, triple PhD and things like that. And
Mhm.
then the last one is the controller. The controller is thing has to go his way, and people don't do things perfectly. And then that was 9 of them. And then on top of all these 9 of them, their master is called the judge. And we
Right.
all have the judge. The judge is the one that when you look at yourself in the mirror, it's like, oh my goodness, I look so old. Or look at that wrinkles. Oh, my hair is getting white. And like the judge, or you're not good enough. Who do you think you are to apply for this job? Or like the judge is always there. If you
Wow.
pay attention, my judge talk to me all the time, and sometimes I listen, unfortunately, and sometimes I say, hey, back off,
Right.
like I don't need you, but it's there. It's just bringing awareness to them. So these are these saboteurs that are with us, and are
That is
controlling us.
that is really powerful because many times that's our default and we just automatically go to it. And like you said, awareness is that first step. And if you're not aware of it and you're landing in the thing that literally is gonna sabotage what you're trying to achieve, you keep on following these same circles and pathways. And like you said, you're going to create more stress for yourself that perpetuates down your timeline. So that
Absolutely.
becomes really, really important. And of course, when you're in relationships, whether it's your kids, whether it's coworkers or loved ones, spouse, and family members, they have to learn to adjust and cope with these saboteurs as well. And then they have their own set of feedbacks and comebacks and ways of dealing with you and relating with you. So it
Hmm.
it can totally affect other people's personalities, those around you. That's really powerful.
And it's good
Also,
when a couple works together on this, like if the two people work in the program together into dealing with their own saboteurs, and then when
right,
it get into an argument, then you're not so surprised if let's say hypertypically, the woman's the victim and the guy's the controller. Well, we
right,
know what's going on in the relationship,
right,
right? She will be like, oh, he's always on me and all that, and I can never say a word. And he's like, oh, she's never doing anything right, and everything goes apart. But then once you know that your weakness is being a victim, and your weakness being a controller, then you have better relationship, you have better communication, you
right,
recognize the weakness and the strength in one another, and that allows you to, for those that want to work the relationship, to get closer and
right,
to be able to have resolution, as opposed to not understanding what one another is saying, and
right.
keep fighting.
Now, Denise, I know that this impacts children, obviously.
Mm.
And in your expert opinion, how young do these saboteurs form, basically? And obviously, I know that you believe that this can be changed in a
Mhm.
person, neuroplasticity and everything else. So what do you think? How does it affect children, and how young do these things form, basically? How
It
in
could
your
be
life?
very young. Like a saboteur can be created. Like for example, this morning I was listening to a talk, and the lady was saying she was 8 years old, and she got confronted from her mom in front of her. She was adopted, and she was confronted in front of her adopted mom with the adopted father. And the mom said, let's call her Julie. Julie, your brother told me that sometime your father's is doing things to you. Is that right? And she said, scared, but mom asked her to say, yeah, that's true. And then she turned to her husband that's reading the newspaper, and she said, Joe, is that right? Are you doing things to our little Julie? And he was like, I don't know what she's talking about, there's no way. And then of course they took the mom didn't do anything, but from that age on, she put a sticker on herself, and she was like, Well, when you tell the truth, nobody believes you. So be careful what you're saying, right?
Wow.
So,
Wow.
and that imprinted in her until she became older and she was old enough to change that and to
Right.
become a different realization.
Right.
But anything you tell your kids when they're young, like the little uncle that come to your house and say, "Oh, look, a cute little chubby girl. She's so cute. She's so chubby and so cute." But now you see yourself as a little fat girl, and you might stay fat because whatever's going on. So it's
Mm.
very important the way we talk to our children, the way we act around our children. As you know, you've been around a lot of children. They copy what they see. They copy the parents. So if the parents are fighting, the kids are taking that identity within themselves.
Right.
But also, on the other hand, as young as 8, 9 years old, you can talk about to your kids about their saboteurs, and you can talk to your kids about their judge, and they understand and they see that more as a play. But it allows them to first remove those little stickers that they might have had on themselves. You approach them differently. That's not my expertise working with kids, but we have people in my line of work that are specializing with working with the saboteurs and the kids,
Wow.
and they have a different type of languages for them, but they help them with the parents. They work with couples and they help them move in that direction where the kids will grow without those saboteurs or not as strong.
Right.
And they, I can't imagine the type of human being that will create, right? More aware,
Amazing.
more no, more, looking more into being more empathized
Right.
towards themselves, towards others, etc. So that I can
Amazing.
create really
Amazing.
beautiful human beings.
This is really powerful stuff. So Denise, can you tell us a little bit more about how can people find out more about you and connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they can send me an email,
Okay.
and the email is my name. So my name is spelled Denise,
Mhm.
Denise.
At.
At, yeah, I was
Right.
going to say that in French for some reason. At Denise, Denise Belisle. So my name is Belisle, denisebelisle.com. And my website is denisebelisle.com. And I'll have also, I think you will put later on, you will put some information about download. And I have a couple of download. And if you're listening to that while you're driving, go back to the podcast and check the download. And you can
Absolutely.
download a file that is telling you a little bit about who are these saboteurs. And you can do also an assessment that gives you your top saboteurs.
Beautiful, powerful stuff. I will make sure that I'll put the links in the description box. So
Hmm.
our audience members, please go ahead and take advantage of what Denise has provided for you in the description box and connect with her. Remember that connecting is a powerful tool and also is a thing that you need to teach your children as well. In this world that is even more connected than ever before, we find amazingly enough that people are finding themselves more isolated. So the
Mm-hmm.
act of reaching out is very important and very powerful. So please go ahead and do that. And if you haven't already done so, hit and click subscribe on the channel so you get notified of the latest experts and the gifts and gems that they bring to our channel and share with you. And Denise, once again, thank you so much for being here. By the way, where are you located, Denise?
I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia, in
Wonderful,
Canada.
beautiful
And
area,
I wanted
beautiful.
to add your listeners that even though I'm not a specialist with kids and working with parents, reach out to me because I do know people that are expert into that and I can send you in their direction so they can assist you and help you and your kids. I can help
Absolutely,
the parents themselves in their own relationship. But when it
absolutely.
comes to kids, I leave that to the expert. So,
Right. Actually, one of the things that I hope that our family recognizes is that behind every expert and every person that actually comes on the channel, there is a vast network of other
mm,
support as well. So by reaching out, you gain access to many more people and many more benefits that might not be apparent directly just from the watching a short video. So I definitely encourage you to do that. Now, before we finish, Denise, any final words of wisdom for our audience members?
yes, one thing I could say is become aware of those voices. So I would highly recommend that you do the saboteur assessment. It's free. You can go online and the link will be there and just go do the assessment, and then we can have a talk. I'm hoping to have a conversation with you afterwards. You can do it by yourself, or we can do it with your spouse and do it with the two of you, because that could help enhance your relationship and have a long lasting, loving, caring relationship. And who doesn't want that?
Yeah, exactly. We are all about fun relationship, not stressful
Yeah, we
relationships,
don't
right?
get married to get divorced. We get married to be together and be happy and joyful. So
Exactly, exactly. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. See you guys on the next event. Cheers.